So good day and welcome to another episode of Cuppa with the Jesuit. I'm Father Robin Koning, Provincial Assistant for Vocations.
And I'm Julian Butler, Jesuit student. Father Robin and I are joined today by Deacon Ramesh Richards in Sydney. Welcome, Ramesh.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Terrific. Great to have you with us. Ramesh, would you begin by telling us a bit about your current ministry? You're the rector at the Cardinal project. What's the project and what's the role of the rector there?
Yeah, so here at the Cardinal project, we've got another name, the Two Wolves. And with this young adult ministry, it's based really at the intersection of three different universities, UTS, Sydney University, and Notre Dame. We run a volunteer-based restaurant on the ground floor. Above that, we've got residential for university students. So at the moment, we've got 20 students, men and women, studying full-time university studies, and then they volunteer 6 hours in the cantina or other ministries around us. And besides that, we organize immersions and service year programs in many different countries, 5 different countries, until recently when we had to recall everyone back due to the pandemic. And we also offer formation programs in our high schools. So that's just a little bit of what we do, but there's a lot more at the moment because of the pandemic. We've closed the cantina. So the large space has become a collection point for food for Jesuit refugee services. Besides that, we've begun offering the space for homeless people to come and enjoy a meal. Yeah, so many things are happening right now. Good things. The pandemic has allowed us to rethink and find new ways to serve the community. Yeah.
And Ramesh, in a ministry that is very peer-to-peer in its formation, what's the role of a Jesuit and what gives you life in that role?
You know, every day is unique. Every day is unique. So I might come into work at 7:30 in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, having some agenda in my head. This is what I need to do. No. Half of it will get done, but most of it will not get done because, you know, working with young people, they've got ideas. They just come and knock on your door, and I welcome that. People wanting to catch up, especially more from the spiritual point of view, and discerning their way forward, especially year 12 students looking at what they want to do in the future, and also university graduates who are questioning are they in the right course or what they want to do for work and vocation. So yeah, really exciting stuff. And so as a rector, my role here is to encourage the spiritual conversations and to walk with our staff and our volunteers in their pilgrimage on earth and just help listen. And it's a privilege to just listen and hear how God operates in everybody's life. It is an honor and privilege on my part to be given this opportunity. Yeah.
Ramesh, some of the this pandemic time has meant separation and community disbanding. What of those experiences, both of absence and of the connection through this time of lockdown, taught you about community and the importance of community?
Bellarmine House, with Bellarmine House, many of them have said that those who chose to go back home for a week or two said they wanted to come back because they missed that sense of community. They couldn't go out and play basketball, but they missed that opportunity for a deep conversation beyond having it with their families. And yeah, so I think a community has shown us that we are all born for relationship, and we are unapologetically Catholic. So we encourage sharing, we encourage listening, we encourage our members to pray, go to Mass, have deeper conversations.
You first came to know the Jesuits, I believe, in Malaysia. What was it that attracted you to them?
So I grew up in a very in a pretty religious family. my mom's side's Catholic and my dad's side's Anglican. And we grew up going to Catholic church all my life. And so I was born on a small island off Borneo. But then we moved to Subang Jaya, which is not too far from Kuala Lumpur. And there was no church. The faith community, the Catholic community, gathered in shop lots, or later on we moved to a very large hall, because the government did not allow us to build a church nearby. And there I got to meet the Jesuits, and they were really amazing people. They spoke up. They helped me see as a young boy how faith and life really have to inform each other, especially using the example of the injustices that Malaysians in general experience, and also the subtle persecution that the Catholic Church was facing. And the number of times the priest, Father O.C. Lim, who just passed away 5 days ago, would go up to the sanctuary and speak up and remind us that our baptisms have freed us, and the government that we have voted for should be servants to us, and not we being servants to the government. And that was what really got me thinking. What am I? It got me thinking, especially when he was called a number of times to face the police, to be interrogated. And I was like, well, this man, who was a very successful lawyer, gave up his ministry as a lawyer to become a Jesuit, and then risk his life for the people. I was like, this guy, he's got something here. And that really attracted me first. And so when I left Malaysia to study architecture in Melbourne, I told myself, I'm going to discern this. I'm going to think this a little bit more, because there's something here that really attracts me. Yeah.
And so you did that discerning mainly here in Australia. You ended up joining the Australian province.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I met. One day I thought, this thing is really bugging me. This call, and I went online, filled the form up, and the then vocations director called me and said, I'll introduce you to another priest. And so I met Father Tom Renshaw, and I met him once, and then it was the school break, the university break, and I never contacted him again. And then I think it was about 8 months later or something like that. I contacted the vocations director again, and I said, by then I knew you, Father Robin. So I said, I know Father Robin. Is it possible for me to discern with him? And the then vocations director said, yeah, go ahead. So that's that. And then so that's how the discernment process began, and had to convince my parents that this is what I really wanted to do. And one day my dad gave me his blessings, and mom gave me her blessings, and boom, put in my application very quickly, and joined the Jesuits in 2010. I've been a deacon for 2.5 years now.
Ramesh, you spent a chunk of your many years as a deacon in the US, in America, while studying theology. Would you tell us something about the experience of studying and ministering in America as a deacon? What was that like for you?
My time in America was really blessed. I lived in a Jesuit community with 70 different Jesuits, 70 Jesuits from different countries, provinces, and it was a melting pot. It was a really fun community. I got to know Jesuits from Africa, from Asia, from North America, and many parts of the world. And so that was one side of formation. But then there was also formation with theology studies. And then Boston College, one of the best theologians in the English-speaking world, was really fun with studying with Jesuits, and also many young lay companions. And then the ministerial aspect of it, I was able to give spiritual direction in prisons in Boston and in California. Also worked in a hospital as a hospital chaplain. Served in multiple parishes around Boston. And remember, this is a church. This is a church that suffered the consequence of the really bad actions of many clergy, sexual abuse stuff. And so being in this community has, I think, prepared me to come back to Australia and face the Australian church and be with suffering church in Australia. I also was able to work with young adults in Boston College, which was really life-giving for me. Really, really life-giving. Helping with Kairos retreats and preaching at masses, university masses on weekdays and weekends. It's really life-giving. Yeah, yeah.
I believe you also at one point did some prison ministry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. I went to maximum security prisons in Boston and sat with people who had life sentences, just talking to them about life, and just reminding them, and often they were the ones who were reminding me that Jesus is with them, and to share the Eucharist, the one who died for us, the one who lives within us.
Ramesh, you mentioned there the sense of a struggling church here in Australia and around the world, and a lot of that struggle self-inflicted, but also, as you talk, a real sense of life that you find in your ministry, being with people.
I think it's a tension, isn't it? Like you're holding these two tensions. I find myself always holding these two tensions, and the young people often, it's not a distraction, but they are showing me what the future of the church looks like. And I am not denying what the tension in this hand, the faults of the church, and we need to hold that. But at the same time, we've also got this. Many say that the young people are disillusioned by the church. In some ways, it's true, but in some ways, they're disillusioned by the language. And if we show them what church looks like, what community looks like, what how a faith life is lived concretely, they want to be part of this, and they really do. And so holding this too and answering the questions and being present to the young people, yeah. So I think it's an important tension to hold. Many of the young guys who come and say, and women who have come and spoken to me about religious vocation, they are not denying this reality, but they also see the life-giving church, and they want to serve both. Yeah, and that's the future of the church for me, and I want to be part of this story. Yeah.
The question we normally end with, what you would say to a young man considering religious life, considering the Jesuits in particular.
The ministry of the church as an ordained minister is not an individual ministry. It is not, I'm not a priest, I'm not a Jesuit for myself. It is for the community. It is for the people of God and wider. It's for God's creation. So if one can see that one is called to something bigger, something life-giving, it could be a married life, but also consider religious life, because the world is hungering for the Eucharist. The world is hungering for an opportunity to be reconciled with the world and with God through the sacrament of reconciliation. So all these sacraments find fruit through the ministerial priesthood. So I welcome you to join me, join Julian, join Father Robin in this ministry, because I can assure you it is life-giving. At times, yes, it can be difficult, but tell me which life does not have any difficult components to it. So I look forward to living with you in community.
Ramesh, thank you very much for giving your time and having a couple with us. It's been great talking to you, and every blessing on you and the young people there.
And to your ministry too. God bless you all. Take care.